What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be doing my review for the new movie, Weapons. So this movie is directed by Zach Cregger, who directed the 2022 movie, Barbarian, which was one of my favorite horror movies of the decade so far, and everything. And when I heard that he was doing this movie, I was really excited, and then the trailer came out, and it instantly became one of my most anticipated movies of the summer. I was really looking forward to this movie and everything. So the premise of this movie is when all but one student from the same class mysteriously vanishes on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. This movie is really good. I really loved this movie. It was not at all what I was expecting it to be, and everything. The trailers were very vague of what it was going to be and everything, so I didn't really know what to expect, where it was going to go and stuff, and it was not really what I expected, but I mean that in the best way possible and everything. The story is engaging from start to finish and everything. It's really well written and everything, and I love how it tells the story through the perspective of different characters. Like there's like a segment for each character and everything in there. You see like the perspective of what's going on with each of these characters, and they intertwine and everything, and then by the end of the movie they all come together and stuff, and it's told really well and everything. It reminded me a lot of the movie 4321, which is kind of told in a similar way and everything, but this movie is totally different from that and everything. Like, that movie is more of a comedy, this one more is a horror movie, or suspense movie, because I wouldn't say it's fully a horror movie either. It has some really creepy moments and creepy images in it, but I wouldn't say that it's a full-fledged horror movie and everything. It's more suspense and everything, and it's really well done, really great suspense. And the mystery of what happened to these kids keeps you intrigued throughout the whole movie and everything, and each of the characters are really great in here and everything, and they have great performances and everything, and they pretty much just looked at the MCU and took as many actors as they could out of here. You got Julia Garner, who plays the teacher of these kids and everything, and she is really good in this movie. I really loved her performance in here. This has been a really good year for her. She was in The Wolfman, which I think is kind of underrated. Not a great movie, but it was still a fine enough movie and everything. And then last month she was in the Fantastic Four: First Steps as the Silver Surfer and everything, and it was one of the best parts of that movie. And then this movie, she's one of the best parts. She's just absolutely great in here. So I really think that she's a really great up-and-coming actress and everything. I know she's been around for a few years, but she's really making a name for herself this year with those movies, and this one too and everything. Josh Brolin, Thanos himself, plays the father of one of the missing kids, and he's really great in here. He gives one of the best performances in the film. He's great. Alden Ehrenreich, who apparently was in Ironheart. I haven't seen that show yet, but I know him more as Han Solo, the young Han Solo in Solo: A Star Wars Story, which I think is personally the best Star Wars movie that Disney has given us and everything, and I loved him in that movie, and I loved him in this one too. Everything I've seen him in, I've always really liked. I think he's a very underrated actor and everything. He's great. Benedict Wong, who plays Wong in the MCU, is in here as well. He's great. And then the other standout performance is Amy Madigan, who is just this really creepy character and stuff. Gives a really creepy performance, but she's great too. So all of the casts in here are really good and everything. I think that everybody does a great job, but especially Julia Garner and Josh Brolin. Their performances were the best in this movie. The score is really good too. It's really creepy and eerie. I think Zach Cregger actually helped with the score with a couple of his friends, and it's really well done and everything. I wouldn't say it's one of the best horror movie scores of all time or anything like that, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed that and everything. And there's some pretty creepy scenes in here and everything, mostly during nightmare sequences and stuff. You got the one that's in the trailer of her going into the classroom, and all all the kids are just laying there with their heads down and stuff, and then the one boy sits up and he has a really creepy looking face. It kind of like a clown face, a demonic clown face. Really, really, really creepy looking and everything. And that image just sticks with me. Ever since I saw that in the trailer, I was just like, ooh, it's so creepy and everything. But it was done really well. I do wish that there was more creepy moments like that and stuff, but yeah, that was really well done. And there's some pretty good humor in here too. Some of it is dark humor, some of it is just unexpected funny moments and everything. There was one part where a character has this nightmare and stuff, and he has this really realistic reaction to his nightmare when he wakes up and everything. He's like, what the fuck, and everything. And it's just, the way the line delivery was done on that scene just cracked me up and everything. I was like, I get it, man, because I get nightmares quite a bit, so I get it and everything. I've woke up many times thinking that, so I really enjoyed that too. The humor was pretty good. It wasn't too frequent and stuff enough to undermine the movie or take away the tension or anything, but it was done pretty good and everything. And Zach Cregger's directing is great too. I think that his directing on this is just as good as it was on Barbarian and everything, and he did a really great job with this movie. He made another really original movie that really is going to stand out as one of the best original movies of the year. I'm so disappointed to hear that he's going to be directing a Resident Evil movie and possibly start working on DEC movies as well. I'm like, this man needs to just stick to original stuff, because both of his original movies have been absolutely great and everything. I really don't want him to get sucked into the studio system and just do movies where his style is no longer present and stuff, which I know is what they're going to do with Resident Evil, because it's Sony that does Resident Evil. They're not going to let him have freedom to do what he wants, and you know, Warner Brothers ain't going to with DC and stuff either. So hopefully the DC stuff doesn't pan out and everything, and I really kind of hope he doesn't do Resident Evil. I hope he changes his mind, or it just doesn't work out and he sticks to original stuff, because he's made two of the best original movies of the decade and everything, as far as horror movies go and everything. And there's been a lot of great original horror movies this decade and stuff. That's the one genre that's been really consistent with original stuff and everything. And as far as negatives go, I will say there are a couple of scenes where there's really predictable jump scares. You know that they're going for a jump scare, and you know that it's going to happen and everything, and that was kind of annoying, but it was only a couple times, so I wasn't complaining too awful bad. There's other movies and franchises that have done jump scares way worse than this, so I'm not complaining too much on that. And there were some effective jump scares as well, so I like that too. I like it when they can be effective and stuff, which is very hard for me and everything, because I always expect them and everything. But all in all, I think Weapons is a unique movie and everything, just like Barbarian. Everything. I do think I liked Barbarian a little bit more, but this one is still pretty good and everything, and it's definitely an original movie. It's not really like anything I've ever seen before, but not not perfect and everything. It's definitely a really good movie, and it's one that I could see myself enjoying more and more times I watch it and stuff. So Weapons is, I'd give an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really, really solid movie and everything, with a great cast, awesome suspense, really good build up to what goes on in the third act and everything, unique characters that you care about, and it's just a good movie and everything. I highly recommended it. Everything, if you're gonna go to the movies this weekend and everything, I would highly recommend this movie and everything. Just don't go in expecting it to be one of the scariest movies of the year or anything like that, because it's definitely not terrifying or anything like that. It is more suspense than it is horror. There is some pretty brutal carnage at times in this movie too. There's a couple scenes where the carnage is pretty brutal though. So that was awesome too, and there's some pretty awesome practical effects and stuff as well in those scenes and everything. So, but yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed Weapons. I highly recommend it and everything. So let me know in the comments what you think of this movie, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.